She knows that it's the depth of her relationships that enriches her life, not the number of them. Self-reflection and personal growth are powerful forces in a woman's journey, and solitude offers the perfect environment for these to flourish. When a woman finds herself without friends, she has an opportunity that many overlook, the chance to truly understand herself on a deeper level. It's not that. Friendships don't offer insight or growth, but solitude presents a rare, uninterrupted space where a woman can focus solely on her own development, free from the distractions and influences of others. In this space, self-reflection becomes a tool that sharpens her awareness, her strengths, and her ability to thrive independently. In a world filled with noise and constant social interaction, it's easy to lose touch with who you truly are. So many people define themselves by the roles they play in their relationships, friend, daughter, partner, but when those relationships are absent, what's left? This is where the magic of solitude lies. Without the external expectations or obligations to fulfill these roles, a woman is left with herself. This time alone becomes an opportunity to ask the important questions: what do I want? What do I believe in? Who am I when no one else is around? These questions aren't easy, and they require a level of honesty that many people avoid. But a woman in solitude doesn't have the luxury of avoidance. She faces herself head-on. Self-reflection isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about looking inward with compassion and curiosity, digging into your experiences, your desires, your fears, and your dreams. It's about understanding what drives you and what drives you and what holds you back. This process isn't always comfortable, but it's essential for growth. Through this introspection, she begins to understand her patterns of behavior, her emotional triggers, and her strengths and weaknesses. In the absence of friendships, she's able to spend time focusing on herself in ways that may not have been possible before. There's no distraction of constantly needing to be on for others, no external pressure shaping her thoughts and actions. This solitude is a space where she can finally listen to her own voice without interruption. This is crucial because in the hustle and bustle of social interactions, it's easy for her inner voice to be drowned out by the opinions and expectations of others. But when she's alone, that voice becomes clear, and it has a lot to say. As she listens to herself, she realizes that personal growth isn't a one-time achievement. It's a lifelong journey. Every experience, every challenge, every failure is an opportunity to learn and evolve. The solitude she finds herself in becomes a fertile ground for this growth. Without the influence of friends to shape her thoughts or opinions, she begins to form her own, unfiltered by the need for approval. This independence of thought is empowering, as it allows her to see the world through her own lens and not through the collective view of a group. This period of self-reflection also helps her to confront any unresolved issues within herself. Sometimes we use friendships as a way to distract ourselves from the things we don't want to face, whether it's emotional pain, insecurities, or unmet goals. But when there are no friends around to divert her attention, a woman is forced to confront these issues head-on. This confrontation can be challenging, but it's also a form of healing. She learns to address her past wounds, let go of old narratives, and embrace a future where she's no longer weighed down by unresolved emotions. Another powerful aspect of solitude is that it allows her to recognize her own resilience. Without others to lean on, she discovers that she's capable of handling challenges on her own. She becomes more resourceful, more independent, and more confident in her ability to navigate life's ups and downs. She learns that she doesn't need to rely on others for validation or support. She has the inner strength to face whatever comes her way. This realization fosters a deep sense of self-trust, which is one of the most valuable things a person can possess. When a woman trusts herself, she becomes unstoppable. But self-reflection isn't just about confronting difficulties, it's also about recognizing and celebrating her successes. In the quiet of solitude, a woman can reflect on how far she's come. She can acknowledge her accomplishments without feeling the need to downplay them or seek validation from others. She can celebrate her own growth, her resilience, and the unique qualities that make her who she is. This process of self-acknowledgement builds self-esteem, and it reinforces the idea that she is enough, exactly as she is. Through this journey of self-reflection, a woman also gains clarity about what she wants in the future. She can set goals that align with her true desires, not the expectations of others. She becomes more intentional about the life she wants to build, the career she wants to pursue, and the type of relationships she wants to cultivate. When friends are not in the picture, there's no pressure to conform to a particular lifestyle or path. Instead, she's free to chart her own course, guided by her own values and aspirations. A woman discovers that personal growth isn't something that happens only when she's surrounded by others. In fact, some of the most profound growth happens when she's alone, when she's able to reflect, reassess, and rebuild herself from the inside out. This growth is quiet, steady, and transformative. It's not about making grand changes all at once. It's about the gradual evolution that happens when a woman takes the time to truly know herself, to nurture her own spirit, and to grow in ways that are meaningful to her. Solitude becomes a gift. It offers a space for self-reflection, for healing, and for personal growth that can't be found in the noise of the outside world. A woman with no friends doesn't lack connection. She has the most important connection of all, the one with herself. One of the most empowering realizations a woman can come to is that she doesn't need to conform to society's expectations to live a fulfilling life. When a woman chooses to walk a path without a large group of friends, she's essentially rejecting the notion that her worth is tied to her social connections or popularity. Society tends to place a high value on being surrounded by others, equating social status with the number of friends or acquaintances a person has. But a woman who walks alone has learned that her value is not determined by how many people she knows or how frequently she's seen in social circles. This decision to live authentically, in spite of societal pressure, requires immense strength. Society is constantly sending the message that to be successful, happy, or fulfilled, you need to fit into a specific mold, one that often involves being highly social, engaging in group activities, and having a wide network. But a woman who understands her work knows that these are superficial standards. She sees beyond the surface and realizes that her value comes from within, from her talents, her character, her mind, and her heart, not from how well she fits into society's limited definitions of success. Living authentically means understanding that conformity is a trap. It's easy to fall into the habit of trying to please others, to do what's expected rather than what feels right for you. Society loves to dictate how women should act, who they should be friends with, and what kind of lives they should lead. But a woman who is comfortable in her solitude has freed herself from these constraints. She's no longer playing a role to fit into someone else's narrative. Instead, she's writing her own script, defining her own path, and living on her own terms. This decision to live authentically often comes after a period of self-reflection and growth. A woman who has spent time alone, who has truly gotten to know herself, recognizes the importance of being true to who she is. She understands that trying to conform to societal expectations only leads to frustration, unhappiness, and a sense of disconnection from her true self. By stepping away from the crowd and embracing her individuality, she becomes more aligned with her purpose, her passions, and her personal goals. The freedom that comes from rejecting societal pressures is liberating. When a woman stops worrying about what others think of her, she's able to focus on what truly matters in her life. She doesn't need the approval of others to feel validated, and she doesn't need to follow the crowd to feel included. She's confident in her choices, even if those choices lead her down a path that's different from the one society has laid out for her. This confidence allows her to stand firm in her decisions, even when they go against the grain. Choosing to live authentically doesn't mean that a woman rejects all social connections or isolates herself from the world. It means that she's selective about who she allows into her life. She surrounds herself with people who respect her for who she is, not for who they want her to be. She seeks out relationships that are based on mutual understanding, respect, and honesty rather than superficiality and social convenience. By doing so, she creates a life that's rich in meaning and connection, even if her circle is small. Living authentically also means embracing the fact that her journey will look different from others. Society often pushes women to adhere to certain timelines. By a certain age, you should have a specific number of friends, a certain kind of social life, and even certain accomplishments. But a woman who rejects these pressures understands that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to life. She knows that her journey is unique, and she's okay with that. She's not in a race to meet someone else's milestones. Instead, she's focused on her own growth, her own happiness, and her own path. This mindset shift is incredibly powerful because it allows a woman to live with integrity. She's no longer making decisions based on what's expected of her. She's making decisions based on what feels right for her. This level of authenticity brings peace because she's not constantly striving to meet unrealistic standards. She's not putting on a facade or trying to be someone she's not.